Welcome to Bokecrochet YouTube channel. You are step-by-step instructions on how to crochet slip knot by hand. You're going to need nothing but your hands and a small scrap yarn that you are going to start using to do the practice. A slip knot is the starting point of all the crochet projects that you are going to work on. As a beginner, you only need to know two parts of the yarn. The more details about the yarn you will learn as we go. The first thing you need to know about the yarn, it has a tail, a bow, or a skein. A tail is the short loose end of the yarn. This is where we start working on our project. We usually find the tail at the beginning of the project when the yarn that you're working on is finished and when you are joining a new yarn. Those are the three main places where you are going to find your tail yarn. A tail yarn is used to weave in and avoid the unraveling of the project. That is the purpose of the tail. And it may be needed to overlap so that you also strengthen your project and avoid unraveling. Those are the purposes of the tail yarn. This part is the working yarn. The working yarn is the area that comes directly from the yarn ball. And this is the part that feeds our stitches. We pull our yarn from here so we can work on our stitches. So that is the ball of the yarn. The next thing that you're going to learn about the yarn is the hand placement in relation to the yarn. Before you start working on your project, you need to know how to place your hands when you're working on your crochet project. The tail part of the yarn is going to be on the side of the dominant hand. In this case, my dominant hand is my right hand. The bow of the yarn or the skein of the yarn is placed on the non-dominant hand. That is how we are relating our yarn in regards to our hands. For me, my tail yarn is going to be on the right side and my skein is going to be on the non-dominant side. But if you are left-handed, it will be the other way around. Now let's move on to the most important thing that you have all been waiting for, making our first slip knot. To make a slip knot, you are going to leave about 4 to 6 inches of tail yarn. That is about 10 to 15 centimeters of tail yarn. Or you can leave a longer tail yarn depending on what you feel comfortable with. Once you leave that amount of tail yarn, hold it where you feel the comfortable length of the tail yarn is. Then make a U. This is the U that I have made. Because you are a beginner, you will need a bright colored yarn. Next, make the U. One side is coming from the bow of the yarn and the other one is from the tail yarn. Hold at the center of the U and place the tail yarn on top of the working yarn. When you do that, you will form an X or an intersection area where the tail yarn and the working yarn cross. Hold and protect the X part so we don't pull it. Put our index finger and middle finger into the U part of our project. Insert the thumb into the loop that you have made, the U loop on. Then drop that U part or the looping area on top of the working yarn. Now we have made a circle and a crossing part of the circle. See, this is a complete circle with the tail part and this is the crossing part. Now we are going to pick up the working yarn that cuts across the circle and pull it through that circle. Next, hold on to the working yarn and the tail yarn to protect the tail yarn and the working yarn. Pull the loop that we've just made. By doing that, we are making the knot. Pulling the tail yarn and the working yarn together, you are tightening up our slip knot. When we pull the intersecting yarn through the loop, we make a new loop. This is the loop that we are going to use to do our knitting or our crochet projects. Now hold on to the tail yarn and the working yarn together and secure them. Next, decrease this loop, the initial loop, in size and make a new loop. So go ahead and pull that loop tight. We've made our first loop and that is how our first loops looks like. Our loop will contain the tail yarn, the slip knot, the loop, and the working yarn. Once we made the loop, this is not the end of everything. Now we have to determine whether we have made the right slip knot. The first thing that we are going to do, hold on to our knot and pull our tail yarn. When you pull the tail yarn, nothing happens on your loop. Next, pull on our working yarn. When we pull our working yarn, our loop decreases in size. See, it's decreasing in size. But when we pull this, you see nothing happens. That's how you know that you've made the right slip knot. Another way to test that you've made the right slip knot, pull on the side of the loop. When you pull the loop on the side of the tail yarn, nothing happens. But when you pull the loop on the side of the working yarn, the loop increases in size. When you pull on the loop, you are increasing the loop size. When you pulling the tail yarn, you are decreasing the loop size. And that is how you determine that you've made the right slip knot. And that is how our slip knot looks like. In the next video, I'm going to introduce another equipment that we are going to use for this project. Once you practice slip knot, we are going to move on to the next section. For now, that's all I wanted to show you. Until then, have a good day. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for watching Bokecrochet.